Good morning, dear students. I am Revan Siddhappa MB, Assistant Professor of English, Government First Grade College, Namati, Davangere District. This is BA Degree Program, Optional English, 6th semester. The title of the paper is 20th Century Literatures First. This is an elective paper, paper number 9, session number 47, D.H. Lawrence's Sons and Lovers, and the discussion of second and third chapters of the novel. Well, in the last session, we have discussed the first chapter of this novel, and these are the learning objectives and session outcomes. To enable the students to know the birth of Paul Morrell, and the session outcomes are the students will be able to understand the birth of the third child, Paul Morrell, and the next session outcome is students will understand Mr. Morrell's sickness and the Women's Guild for which Mrs. Morrell joins. Okay, coming to the recapitulation, during the last session we have discussed the first chapter of the novel, and in which we know that the setting of the novel, the couple Mr. and Mrs. Morrell moved from Bestwood to the Bottoms. It is the miners' residence, and we know that Mr. Morrell is working in the mines, and hence the residence is given for these workers, and it becomes inevitable for the couple to move to this location. And we come to know that here the novelist has used the flashback technique to introduce the couple Mr. and Mrs. Morrell, how they got married. Okay, so she met Mr. Morrell at a Christmas party. She was 23 years old. She was reserved and thoughtful, and he was 27 years old, good looking and outgoing, and very different from Mrs. Morrell's father. That made her to get attraction towards him, and ultimately their attraction ends with their marriage. Okay, so once she got married, she had realized that her dream is not the dream after her marriage with him. Mrs. Morrell discovers that Walter is not a man she thought he was. He does not own his own house, as he said earlier, and he is in considerable debt. Apart from that, he frequently drinks, but he tells lies of it. And this is being said in the first chapter, and we know that Mrs. Morrell is disheartened and disgusted because of the attitude of her husband. So there is the love and hate rhythm goes on in the first chapter. It is very clear. We have discussed it in the last session. Coming to the second chapter, the title of the second chapter is like this: The Birth of Paul and Another Battle. See, battle is just a family quarrel, wife and husband quarreling. Okay, so that is the concept here. And in the first few paragraphs of this novel, especially in the second chapter, we come to know that there is the downfall of Mr. Morrell. See, there was a frequent quarrels with his wife, and those have made more damage on him rather than Mrs. Morrell. So he used to drink regularly, he came home late, he began to quarrel with his wife. Okay, so and when his bouts are increased, and actually they have damaged more Mr. Morrell rather than the other members of the family. By that time they have two children, they are William and Annie. and she is expecting the third child. Now, Moral has been wakened physically, so he was always sensuous, that I already told you. He has lost his moral strength and pride. Then afterwards he tries to correct his earlier misconduct. Moral feels ashamed of bullying his wife. So it is quite natural, being a man, threatening his wife by beating up and snubbing her, by raising his voice. They are not good conducts actually. So he was ashamed, but he cannot help. So this is the situation. So from these frequent quarrels have weakened Mr. Morel, and they have more damaging effect on him. Fine. With the assistance of Mrs. Bauer, the midwife who lives by the next home of her in that coal mines, that is the bottoms, Mrs. Morel delivers the third child. She was very sick, and it was raining and chilly outside. He asks her for drink. Look at this thing. He came home, Mr. Morel came home from the mines, and it was the night. So that midwife informed him the third child is born, and it is the baby child, sorry, male child. But instead of going to look at his wife and child, he immediately asks her drink and food. Look at this thing. And after having the food and drinks, he sits for 20 minutes and then he goes upstairs to see his wife and son. So this is the situation. This is described in this chapter. Paul's birth is taking place in this chapter, but the father is indifferent, and he, after having food and drinks, waiting for 20 more minutes, and then he goes upstairs to see his son and wife. So this is being seen in these next few paragraphs of this novel. And here we are then introduced to Mr. Heaton, the congregational clergyman, and who comes to visit Mrs. Morel every day. And I told you that Mrs. Morel was a religious bent up of woman, so that he came to her home regularly. One evening, after a quarrel with her husband, Mrs. Morel takes Annie and the baby and goes for a walk near the cricket fields. Fine. And Morel is not actually happy for Mrs. Morel's attitudes, because man is a man after all. So she made that Mr. Heaton the child's godfather, and they have watched the sky and feels peaceful in nature. Baby seems sad to her as born unloved. Paul is born unloved. Okay, so and she promises to love from all her soul, and ultimately she calls or names him Paul, and in this way his name is a nomenclature came into being. She herself calls him Paul. And here we come to know that Mrs. Morel has kicked William because Mrs. Morel loved William more. So Mrs. Morel escapes to a meadow with Annie and the baby, newly born baby, that is Paul. She watches the sky and feels peaceful in nature. The baby that I told you was born unloved. She called him Paul. Okay, that already I told you. And ultimately she decided that she promises to love from all her soul, and she has started loving that baby because his father is not at all loving him, so that she wanted to pour all of her love on this child, that is Paul. And another quarrel. One day, when Walter comes home late, being drunk, Morrel returns home late and during a quarrel throws a table drawer at his wife. See his cruelty. She tells him that she will not wait for him, so that he throws a drawer at her. Draw at her. The hit cuts her forehead and it starts bleeding. He does not get out of the bed then afterwards. He frequently visits Palmerston, one of his favorite bars, where he spends much of the time, the next several nights also there. He has no money. Because of that reason, he takes a sixpence from his wife's purse. This is nothing but the stealing. But when she asks him, of course, she had seen him picking up some money from her purse. She asks him whether he has taken some money from her pocket, but he denies. And she becomes extremely angry. So he had already told few of the lies, but again this is another lie. He goes upstairs and returns with a bundle and says he is leaving. See, he is threatening his wife. He is quitting that home and he is going somewhere else. So here ends the second chapter. So in this chapter, it is clear that women's and men's roles are apparent when Mr. Morrel shows his indifference to the birth of the child and his wife's exhaustion. Okay, so he asserts his masculinity by choosing to eat and drink first. Look at this thing. When Mr. Morrel flies into rage in front of the minister because there is no beer in the house, he demonstrated that his needs comes first even over other men's. He was a guest. Instead of treating them better, he is crying that there is no beer in the house. And religion is a very powerful force in this novel, especially in the life of Mrs. Morrel. It is very clear Mr. Heaton, the minister, frequently visits this home, and this is another important thing. And she has made the minister Paul's godfather. Okay, so in a drunken fit, he hits his wife with a draw, and it cuts the forehead of Mrs. Morrel and it starts bleeding. It is also very clear. It shows the violence of this person. Throughout the novel, her love for her sons overshadows her feelings for her husband. In other words, she has almost transferred her love to her sons. That is very clear throughout this novel. And the two sons becomes her preferred lovers. See, this is the very important concept. This is also being seen in this chapter. She tolerates her husband but feels unfulfilled by her sons and their love for her. So these are all the important points to be noticed while reading the second chapter of this novel. Let us go for the third chapter. The casting off of Morrel, the taking on of William. So this is the heading of the third chapter. Now let us see what is there in it. Morrel is sick with inflammation of the brain, and Mrs. Morrel nurses him in his ill mood. She gets some help from the neighbors, but not every day, and to take care of the household and the children. The neighbors helped them by cooking food for her. Mrs. Morrel's health is improved. Mr. Morrel's health is improved. In the course of time, their relationship is also improved because they are wife and husband. She is conceived and begets the fourth child also, and his name was Arthur Lawrence, who suddenly becomes the favorite of Mr. Morrel, Walter Morrel. William is growing bigger, and Paul follows his mother around. See, all the times Paul used to walk around his mother, and he is almost mother fixated son, and begins to have fits of depression in which he cries for no reason. So, this is the nature and attitude of Paul Morrel. See, he frequently cries for no reason because he had some fits of depression in his life. However, her affections for Mr. Morrel have completely waned, and she begins to focus all her energy on William alone. So, by this time, she had four children, out of them three are sons, and the one is the daughter. And then afterwards, she had stopped all of her love, and she had started pouring all of her love and affection on William alone. So she wants her sons not to become the workers in the mines. She wants her son to be the upper middle class people, and they must be educated. So these are all the aims and objectives of Mrs. Morrel on her sons. See, if you carefully read the next few paragraphs, we come to know that there was one small quarrel between the boys of that bottoms. Let us see what is there in it. After William's quarrel with the neighborhood boy for ripping off of his collar, Morrel wants to give a thrash. But Mrs. Morrel defends William strongly. She told him to go out. His role in the family is reduced to the level of a fund supplier. Then, then afterwards, Mr. Morrel returns to his old self while he feels that his authority in the home has dissipated. Mr. Morrel feels himself alone and abandoned while Mrs. Morrel plans joyfully for William's future. So from then afterwards, his role in the family is reduced to the level of a fund supplier, and he is to work hard and to bring money for the needs of the family. So his level is reduced to this level. From then afterwards, Mrs. Morrel plans joyfully for William's future. So what all the things she wants her husband to be, and that are being achieved through this boy, that is William. And Mrs. Morrel joins the Women's Guild. It is there in that locality, a club attached to the Bestwood Cooperative Wholesale Society, and women meet weekly and discuss the social benefits of the cooperation. She attends the club meetings on Monday nights without fail. When William is 13, his mother gets him a job at the cooperative society. So, in this way, by the age of 13, Mr. Morrel is able to get a job because of the influence made by his mother, that is Mrs. Morrel, and she does not want her son to work in the coal mines. But it is the expectation of the father that his sons must work like him in the mines. But his mother, that is Mrs. Morrel, does not want her sons to do so. So in the next few paragraphs, William's progress is being described by D.H. Lawrence. William attends night school and becomes an excellent clerk and very good bookkeeper. and he teaches at night school and becomes a good athlete and also a dancer, so that Mrs. Morrel is proud of her son, William. He gives his money to his mother. He enjoys the company of many girls in town, none of whom his mother approves of. So here starts the oscillating nature of Mrs. Morrel. He gets a job in London for 4 times the money, which is incredible. Much salary is given in London firm. His mother does not know whether to rejoice or grieve, though, because she is worried about how hard he is working in London. As he grows into a man, William remains close to his mother rather than with the girls. They flirt playfully together, and William teases Mrs. Morrel about the job she has done sewing up one of his work shirts. Look at this thing. All the times his mother, uh, Mrs. Morrel, is sewing up the old clothes. She claims that he looks as handsome as King Solomon. Look at this thing. Mrs. Morrel is always comparing her son William to the king. Here she has compared him to the handsome king called Solomon. He has many girlfriends whom he compares to flowers and describes to his younger brother Paul when he nicknames Posel. Look at this thing. He always compares his girlfriends to the flowers. Paul is actually learning French and German from Mr. Heaton, the clergyman, and Annie is studying to be a teacher. So this is made very clear here. See, William has almost got a job and he is earning money, and Annie, the daughter, only daughter, is learning and studying for becoming a teacher, and Paul is also learning 2 of the languages with the help of Mr. Heaton, the clergyman. Mrs. Morrel disapproves of these girls, the girls who are recommended by Mr. William. They are rejected. He accepts a job in London and prepares to leave home. Look at this thing. Mrs. Morrel is devastated by the news of her son's departure. Mrs. Morrel lives through William, and so his departure, she feels like she is losing a part of herself. This is nothing but the Oedipal love. The mother cannot leave her son, just like how how the lovers cannot be separated each other. So also she feels, and she thinks that she has lost one of the part of her body when William is to leave to London to work. That is the point here. Her whole life is bound up with William's fate. Look at this thing. Her fate is what William's fate is. She thinks like that. She is bound up. See, bondage is one of the major themes of the novel that is being made a reference here in this paragraph. She conceals her misery from her son. She is extremely unhappy and in a great stress and agony, but she conceals all of those. Who is bursting with excitement about his new life. Look at this thing. So here ends this third chapter. Now let us see the important concepts of this chapter as a whole. We come to know that the Morrels have an unstable marriage bouncing between hatred and affection for each other. She falls sick. She started nursing her husband, and immediately she conceived and she gave birth to the another child. And before that, Paul was born without love and affection. See, there is the love and hatred nature is being seen among the couple. And Mr. Morrel becomes sick. His wife nurses him back, So that I told you already. Mrs. Morrel gets a job for William at the Women's Guild. See, this is the very important point, and hence her financial status of the family is slightly improved, and she was extremely happy that her son William is not following what her husband Mr. Morrel has done so far. So these are the important concepts of this chapter number 3. Thank you.